So this the first issue. One thing that I also see is that it fail, right? Like we did something similar in here that yeah, we did this. Technically doesn't matter. Lucky error here. So we use an arena here, so it doesn't really matter. In case parsing fails, like it should. And then here we don't do this. Once again, it's a combination of having both. So this is different now. I think we moved it here, so this should. Oh, this is an arena now, explicit. Okay, so I think because this is explicit, I'm not gonna clean that up. Let's make it a rule and then just let's stick to it. But this does not exist. We need this whole thing. That's one thing, and then this is... So that might be fixed now. Another thing is the init here. Wait, what? This makes no sense. Like a random parameter was there. And so here's what we'll need to fix. Kinda terrible. So there's a lot of thing going on in here, and a lot of things that I think are wrong. And maybe not in the worst way that are wrong, but I want to improve. The first thing is that we don't even need those names around, I think. Like we can do somewhere above or somewhere before, we can just switch to indexes and don't carry the names around. Is I don't think we need to parse the whole thing. Do the offsets that we need. And it would work with indexes as well, right? So we're going to pass an index and we're going to know, oh, you need to return column number 1 and column number 2. And instead of parsing all the columns and then checking what's the name of the column and all of this, we just say, go to the offset of the stuff that I care about and only parse that and return that. The other thing is, I'm still not sure we actually need to pass the data type. I think we started with it, then we removed it, then we like this. I need to check the sqlite again and see if this is needed or not. So I think this could be avoided. We can just see it in the with the content type, right? We were parsing the content type and we were thinking about that we might need it, and then we, I think, dropped it, and then we kind of have it, kind of not. We just need to revisit. We might not need it. I'm thinking maybe also just printing it right away. Instead of returning it, maybe we can just print. Maybe we can return just whatever number of things and then print them, but we can just print them right away. And if we pass an IO, it is explicit that the stuff is side effectful. So I think it's not that bad. I think that might be cleaner. And then, so this simplifies us with not passing random columns around. We're not passing the data types around. And that's, I think the idea that I had this weird types for this and this, because I was thinking maybe I don't need it. I'm not a fan of this, because I would rather have it once and then have it as a struct, but I wasn't sure if I needed it. That's why it's like this. So maybe it will help and we can remove this. And I think that as a plan can work now. So let's do the dumb thing first. Not the dumb thing, the simple thing first. And then see how it goes from there. I think I'll try to submit, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then we go from there. We can say column should just probably just work. Right? So we had one column and we went to that column and because everything was parsed already, we could do this. And now we can revisit it and do it with other columns. Right? I'm not sure. The first thing is this. It tells us that there is no field name single column because column 2, they should be column, and so if we go to our select, the previous one, it should still work. What it's not gonna work is that it's printing the wrong way, actually. Okay, so that's one thing that's not gonna work in the naive way. Because I'm not iterating through. Yeah, that's why I wanted to revisit it. I mean, we're not orthogonal, but we are kind of approaching it from a different angle, right? So the result wants us to be. So the result wants us to be something like this. For the given program that asks for multiple things, it wants us separated, and we just print them one after another. I think it's going to be like first 4 and then the next 4, while we have they zip together. If we refactor this the way I describe here, we'll do it differently. That the parse, and then the parse is not going to be called parse anymore. That's kind of one thing that I was talking in the previous episode, or this one, depending on how I cut this, that I was thinking about parsing and thinking about having the domains and then working on it, and it's kind of fine. Like this change wasn't too complicated, right? Like we just added one thing, and because we already had the parse, that was fine. However, the task was not to parse. The task is not to have a perfect representation of the file bytes into the data types. The task is to do what the statement wants you to do. The statement wants me to go to the apples table and get these 2 columns. It doesn't want me to parse the rest of the columns. It doesn't want me to overcomplicate and know anything else other than the what select ones. And I think if we do it the simple way and just parse it all the time, it's not going to work, especially when we get to indexes later. So we need to address this and address the eagerness to do everything, the full-on types. So with that said, columns, and this is not going to work. So first we can parse a table, and then so the column index, I think one thing that was that I think we can try getting this out. So we have a page, and we know that this is also, yeah, this is proper, I would say. So we have records. We traverse in the record, and then inside that traversal of records, we can traverse each column. So we got our records, and then we go through each record, and we go through each column in select. I think this would move inside this, whatever. But for now, each column, we get the column from the schema, and then inside this, and then outside, we do that. Deal with that. So we go through the records, and then for each record, we go through the columns, and we try to get the column. The printing might be more interesting for the first column. when we are done with the column, for each record we need to print something. The naive approach that I would do, I would have list of results, and then I will intercalate or intersperse them with this, and then call it a day. But we don't want that. We want to print a value, string or integer, we just print this. Then when we're done with a record, we can print that we're done. And the only thing we need to do is to have something in between now. Should at least print stuff ugly way. Okay, so use size and weight. I think I just need to write all, but what you've written. Okay, another one. Same. Okay, so it is the last thing left. So two options we don't need. If we have multiple columns, it's either we put them in front of the value or behind the value. If we put it in front of the value, it means the first one should not print this. If we put it at the end of the value, it means the last one should print this. And in either case, we need to know, are we last one? Or are we the first one? So if we're looking at columns, and if we are part of the first column, if not part of the first column, I'm gonna drop a pipe. Not equals, like this. We try with ID. I'm not sure. Did it have ID? I think it had ID. Of access over union field int while field none is active. What? It's not an integer. Oh, let's pretend like this didn't happen. Let's pretend this didn't happen. And we just wanted to say, I think that also goes with the content type thing that yeah, it's gonna work for more than one thing anyways. So let's do this. And if this works, or if it doesn't work, we'll move to this. Okay, so it passed. Right? I don't want to refactor. One thing, data types. I think don't need. I think this should be opposite. Reach on the value. Then the value can be string, and then we say that if string, then you can write it like a string, something like this. And I think make it simpler, we can steal this, and then we will not need any of this. Because we like here we kind of skipping the pattern match and we do things directly. And then because this matches, and we saw that with none, we assumed that it was integer, but it wasn't. It was IDs, content type. Wasn't right. So this didn't match because this has a tag union inside. So why do this to do this if we know that tag union is ready? I don't know how it messed. Anyways, let's go to the value size. This column weird name. Like a value. Name it a value. And then here, this is probably not going to be. But we want this. I think this will work. Which self know if it's a none. We don't do anything. Nope. Can I just wait? Probably fine. Let's see. This. So that. Add something like this. I. This work? I don't know. In the case of string or blob, have to do. I had something like this. I. This work? I don't know that. In the case of string or blob, have to do. And it avoids all the issues and well, actually, if you open this, you can. Okay, so yeah, it was a numeric value in this. Okay, that. Then this works for now. Blobs, not sure. X better and probably will not see because that. But then here, when we get to the value, then here we just need to print a column type. Just print format of a value. Now we have that. And this is it. Post column types. It parse does need to put in here. This not needed. Not needed. column types is self parse. Well, this might be needed in case we create and then actually do it, so we'll keep it there, but not here. Better column type value. Deal with this when we deal with fixes, and then if we run, not happy. At different types, even though the interfaces void. Wait. Void is a type. Yes. This one. Yeah, like before. Okay, it does behave like before. And it's a bit nicer. Have one less thing to worry about. And let's do this actually. Let's see if this works. After that, I have to remove the arena and this. It probably. So we had an issue with this before when we were referencing this into while we were iterating, while we had a writer, while we had a reader interface and reading one page at a time. So before we were reading it one buffer at a time from the file, whatever, for 4 kilobytes. And then when it would move, when you would jump somewhere else in the file, you would lose all those references and would lose all those things. That's why we had to copy those. But now we switched to having pages, and we always copy a page, and we always have page in memory in the arena. It might change later, but we have a page which is always there, so we can always reference stuff on that page. All the blobs and all the strings stay there, so that's why we don't need to copy anymore, and all the tests and all the things still pass. So the next cleanup thing I want to do is to get rid of okay, so this kind of goes together. I don't want to parse the whole record. I only want to parse what we need to parse. So let's try that next. So let's try to pass column indexes. And this is going to be of use in. If you have like more than 1,000 of columns. Look, max column. Sure if it's here, but somewhere out there, it probably tells us that it should be more than a couple of thousand columns anyway. Probably 155 columns might be too restricting, so let's just keep a bunch. This is not the one I need to modify. For the page, that's not what we need. I was thinking about thinking about this one. Parse record from page. This might take column IDs, the one that we need to return, and then here we're going to return the same number. So whatever we passed in here, we're going to return record. City. Might want to change this. Let's see. For now, I just want to pass the column IDs and tell the only those. And page type. But here, parse cell, parse record. Parse record is only used here, so let's also inline this here. This row is different from this row. This row is record. raw, so we can remove this. And then what we return is this. Column IDs, and this will also take column IDs, and that we know that the record now just does not return random bunch columns. It's only going to return the ones that we ask for. We know that how many. So here, column IDs will need to be used somewhere here. We parse the header. We need to parse it all the time because we need to get to the, or maybe we don't, column, append, parse variant. Yeah, maybe we don't need that. So we going through the var int, but 0. We start with, and then we consume var int at a time, and we append all of them, but we don't need to append all. We only to append if we need it. Need it. The type of columns here is also undo capacity because we know how much we need. Allocator with this one. This is going to be this. Right. We know that this, or we can also just allocate like this right away, and then we don't need to deal with it released inside of the arena. Might be simpler. Type of columns. And here it's length as the other one. So we know that if we want to select 3 columns, we select 3 columns, right? We're not going to select more than that. And those are the offsets that we need. If we need the offset, we're going to append this. We need it, we're going to append, and if not, we're going to skip this, but we still have to iterate and go through all of them because we collect those, right? After that, I'm still not sure how to do this, like how to do contains, so let's just start for a second and think through the results. Then we have columns, offsets, we know which offsets we care about. We know that we need to get that size of that. We need to know that we need to read it. Oh, but maybe get all of those. Because I forgot how they lay out. Are we jump into offsets? We don't. We read sequentially. Offset and then column size. Okay, so maybe this will not work. We don't know how many columns we have here, actually. We always need to read a header. Okay, so I was too optimistic. And this will not work. Not work. We need to do the parsing here and add into those columns. And this still gonna be length here because we're gonna return only what we need, but we still need to know all of them, and we don't know how many. We know what table we're parsing, so we can pass the total number of columns, but it's not gonna need as much parse var int allocate. Does not. And this does not allocate anything, so it should be fine. Just be one after another, so we are fine here. This is just going to be one array that might grow in place, hopefully, and it shouldn't be locating. If it grows, it can still reuse stuff. So I think we're fine-ish. This is still needed because we need to jump through things and still go through all of them. The raw value is that thing that might not need all of this. Is only needed if we need to update the offset anyways. No, work. And then we're gonna update the columns if we need them, and then we will return only the needed columns. The problem here is that this will break the schema because the schema is relying on hard-coded things in here, 2, 4, 3, but we'll cross it get there. So at the current bridge, I need to know that offset if column IDs contains, there is nothing like contain to go through all of them. It should be fine. We need to say if offset equals index. We do all of this. So only parse and persist the indexes, the columns. That we asked for. Right? And then now we need, say, column IDs. Here we say column ID. This needs to be parse column IDs. Then when we ask to parse the record page that we need here in the select page have indexes. We'll pass those, not instead of the page, but next to the page. And we don't really care about much afterward. I think we can do something. Indexes, and then it can take column names. And it's going to return sizes. But let's see. Something like this. Try to compile this. Let's see if the interface works before implement. So we have schema, page, and then schema. Now this should now it takes and after that indexes schema indexes. So we return those indexes and then got a table. And then we know that each record has columns. Each record has columns, and then we go through them. And then we print columns, we print the column. We don't need to get this, we don't need to get the column over schema because we already, this here. So we know that this was done. We know that it was done there. So, and now this takes ownership of this. This. We do a traversal for column names. Column. And this actually can be this. As we said, of this. This could be neat. Say column names. Then we can fix the root. Yeah, as kind of thinking maybe we can do that once when we init, but maybe it's not worth it. Can redo it every time. Yeah, it's not worth it. Keep it as it was. Let's keep it as it was. So you wanted to have a result, wanted to return off. But it needs to look at it as well. Stuff like that. Because we need that number of things. Zero. I equals column index. And this is an error. This does not return. This does not return, then I think are fine. Like somehow if you ask for it, it's not gonna get it and it's gonna get things yet. Which is bad. Which is bad. I mean, we have this. suboptimal. Here we need to do try schema fixes prisoner, and column names that we need. Column names. This is wrong because arena. This is a bit cleaner. There's other thing that I would want to do, but I think we're fine. This actually compiles. This does not compile, and this doesn't work because of the things that need. What we need. Can I get an ugly sqlite situation? This is getting a bit ugly, but probably will not work. But this, we can also just give it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that would just give this. Don't have to touch this code, which might be a bit nicer. Other thing, and this is not needed. I mean, this one is fine in this case because if we messed up, this is a programming error. That's on us. Yeah, this is not an array syntax. My square braces kind of guy. I don't remember. Not that. Parse. What's that? Try that. I must. Like we know there is going to be. Oh, so this returns. Oh, this way implicitly returns means it doesn't return. It means I forgot to return. Okay, that's bad. Okay, this is bad. Optimization went wrong. I think I know what this. Let's hope it's just because I duplicated that. So we even fail on the initial thing. Oh, I think this is record row. This is interesting too. Okay, this has their own type in there. Oops. Gonna be nicely to do all of those, but oh, yeah, but this is wrong. Yeah, I already. Yeah, wait. I don't even need to put this. We do two, but the index is 0 based, right? Is we need this. Let's do it properly. Let's do this. I think you can pass a map to be explicit and say this index is that index. You can like this. Like you can say like, oh, this returns 0 maps to 2. But actually that's what fucking array is. You can do this. And after you parse it, don't mess it up. You can pass it. So you can column index. You can do this here. We can. It kind of conflicts column ID. And then we can say that we can do the mappings here. Back to 3. I think we need to operate on the type in here as well. Want to can say that give me the like I have to traverse and find this stuff. It's not worth it. I'm just too lazy to do another type and have the type that would. Okay, maybe I should. But that's, I was pretty sure that float. Are we off by one? Are we off by one? Everybody always asks themselves. Confident, kept it. I mean, in this case, it's nice to have those, right? Like if we would be passing those and not caring about the types. Matter much more. Okay, so what kind of garbage we got? Bad garbage. Oh, this is some bad garbage. Maybe up. Okay, do we have anything? Try to look at a couple of cases before I give up. Don't even get there. Success is not gonna be first one. Fail. There's not much here. We have parcel. We're inside the parse. Oh, we actually had tests. Oh, that was a test, right? Can take all 5. Passes. Does parse it correctly. With all 5. But if it gives it something else, then it starts printing. It work as stable. All of them are floats now. Garbage floats. But the first one is parsed correctly. So I think then off. Definitely some. Here that have raw value, raw body, value, parse. So inside the loop. that we have J in here. I think that's off. I think that's the wrong thing. Because we're skipping the things for the IDs that we don't care about. We still relying on J. I think that's the one more. Doesn't matter the ID of the current thing. What matters is out. Okay, mine doesn't matter. Might not matter. Okay, test passed tells us nothing because I don't. Same thing. Oh no. Why we traverse all of my Ds? Oh, we do. Oh, comparing. How are we comparing? That was. Oh my. So that was that. Garbage. That's what we're comparing. We don't compare. Now it's all strings, but now it fails somewhere else because I think the IDs were off. But that makes a bit more sense now. Now if we go back, select this, that's the only thing that we care about. And then that works. 4 and then 2, 1. And now this should work. And name color should work as well. Okay. Okay, the problem I think that we got the correct indexes, but we get indexes in the same order. Their own order, like they're sorted. The result. So as soon as we see them, shove them into the thing, but it needs to think. I think I want to do. I want to have. What is gonna be the result? But here we know that we have not that many columns. So when we iterate here, so we know which indexes we want, right? We know that column IDs later when we iterate column IDs, we know the expected ID. And I didn't want to do another ID, but I think here this is a position. So we know that at this position, we need this position of the result. Don't need column ID. Know at this position expected the value in the result array, right? We know at which, yeah, I think because we know this position, we know the result position. I think it should be just reuse the position. Yeah, okay, so this works. I wanted to clean up something else. I don't like this. I want to do something else with it, but I think we'll do it later. Let's try to do the task. And then if we have the time or we have a chance, we try to fix that.